So this short video is to help and support you with your essays, and we're going to call them your personal log. So the idea is that this supporting essay, personal log, personal evaluation is going alongside your sketchbook. Now it only needs to be between 1,000 to 3,000 words. And the idea is that it's a personal log. So it's about you reflecting on your journey through your project. So you need to really pull all that information that's already in your sketchbooks and produce a sort of very clear, coherent essay that records that journey. And you will embed your images. That's really important. I'll have some examples to show you. So it's nothing to feel overwhelmed by, because you've actually done most of the work already, but it's just a case of pulling it all together. Your essay doesn't get marked as a separate body of work. Your sketchbook, your final outcomes, your essay, maybe your short film, maybe your website, photo books, photo outcomes, all get marked holistically together. Okay, so the idea of the essay is that it's a way to show something that pulls your ideas together, shows key things like your subject-specific vocab, so your terminology, and it explains your intentions. It shows how you've progressed your project, what were your influences, who were they, what were their work, what work was that. Maybe put some key quotes in relating to your work, and also an opportunity to sort of show how your ideas were consolidated. So I know that you've put your consolidation pages together, so this is where you need to put this in so that you show that your work is anchored on a issue, whether it's a social issue, whether it's something that's been related to the pandemic, something related to education, pressures during these current times, self-reflective work. All of this, you need to show that you have actually researched this beyond your own ideas, so that you've got some substantial sort of data to support your project as well. And through that, that's then helped lead and guide and direct your project. So at this stage, obviously you haven't completely finished your project, but I want you to write up until you have up to where you are now presently with your work. That's really important. And like I said, I would expect to see your artist research there and yours. Make sure there's strong visual connections within the essay as well. If you're able to get questionnaires that could relate to your concept, that would be really good, because that shows that you've gone beyond the sort of secondary resources that you've got primary. If you're able to see some key work that relates to your project physically, fantastic. But watch YouTube videos of artists as well as looking at books and articles, so that you've got a variety of different resources that have influenced your work. But make it as personal as you can, and it is about you really explaining your project clearly and what you've learned from it, what worked well, what didn't. So all of these things are really valuable. So I'm going to show you a couple of examples just to highlight some of these points, but just make sure that you start working on this, writing a little bit, do your introduction, explain what your brief was about. Within that, you can explain what your social issue, or to contextualize it at the beginning, and then you can start to go through the journey of your project. Okay, so I hope this helps. By all means, you can contact me if you need any more information. Okay. So here we've got Valentina's essay that she wrote last year. Okay, and as you can see, we've called it the personal log evaluation. So she started off by creating an exploratory sketchbook. Now you haven't done that this year, so you would go straight into explaining what your theme was and why you chose that theme. And then, as we go through this log, she starts to explain what she did for her first shoot. So straight away we've got some really lovely, strong examples of Nick Knight's work that influenced her shoot. So she talks about she liked the feeling of the movement, the motion of the model, and the aesthetic qualities. So she relates this then to her shoot here. And she tries to explain, so she said she's used a shallow depth of field and a slow shutter speed. And then she says how this has created this sort of intriguing mood within the image. She then moved on and looked at this photographer and then developed this as a technique with the images. Now, some of you may have done techniques, some of you haven't, so don't worry, just base it on the work that you have done. Then she goes into her second shoot here. You've got this essay, so you can also look at this essay and refer back to this. And here, what's great is you can see really strong connections with the artists that she's looked at. Again, explaining how she's taken the images and the setup that she's used. And then she's applied the technique here of defacing the images. And then she's got her images here, like so. So it's quite clear, it records the journey through to her third shoot, the effects of what she's done in Photoshop, and then also techniques that she's applied by tearing and ripping her images. So you don't necessarily need to write about every single shoot, but you can certainly write about the key significant shoots, or maybe something that didn't work so well and then you improved on that, so you developed the idea. I know Valentina wasn't particularly keen on this technique, but she still showed it to show she experimented, and then she moved on to this, and you can see there's a huge leap with this work. And then she's also used some mobile apps as well, and then she's gone back to using the hand cutting and pasting images together. She's also found that some of her work really related to Michael Wolff. So for her seventh shoot, she actually did quite a detailed piece of research on his work, because she then started to look at using glass herself, and this idea of someone being trapped behind the glass, and this clearly relates to Michael Wolff's work. It's not necessarily until now that she really starts to get to grips with what she's trying to communicate with her work. And here she starts to write about the pressure that young males may feel fitting in social groups, the pressure of families and parents' expectations. So this is really important. Obviously hers came later. Now for some of you, you may be able to include a bit more information earlier to show how you had quite a clear idea of your concepts, but they may have changed. Certainly with lockdown as well, that would have affected some of your ideas, so still include that. Then she said about overall how she was really pleased with her project, what she's enjoyed, what she's learnt from it as well. You can also talk about if you had more time, or if you weren't in lockdown, if you had more freedom, what you would have done. And then she's got her bibliography here and the websites here as well. So that gives you a general idea of what you need to include. So I hope this helps. Look at the essays, don't overthink it, keep it simple, and just make it self-reflective. And you've done most of the work already. It's in your sketchbook. All right, good luck, guys. Thanks a lot. Bye.